So like that quote suggested, incentive to learn English exists without making it official language. So I'm reading off of Debatepedia's article right now to some extent, just down through the con arguments on the article. And remember to go in and check the pro arguments so that if you have any questions, you can, check them. The incentive to learn English in a society that has 94% of people speaking English, and in which English is basically the de facto official language. The incentive to learn English is huge. The government really does not need to incentivize anybody to learn English. It's clear as day. You walk out on any street and you will have an incentive to learn the language, or else you'll be very embarrassed. Immigrants want to learn English, but not enough classes. So this is just something pointed out by the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Education Fund, that while a lot of people are saying, yes, we need official English and this should be the language spoken by all immigrants, they're not actually putting the money behind classes to educate immigrants who don't speak English in English. English-only policies do not help teach English. When you're trying to learn a new language, it's incredibly important that you, like when I was trying to learn Spanish, have that training wheel of your own language so that, the teacher can say in Spanish, this is how you say dog in Spanish and define it in Spanish terms so that you can kind of get an understanding and a framework of what these words mean. It's just a more effective way to go. And then, some opponents or some advocates of English-only policies say, well, isn't immersion the best way to learn a language? Well, it is in some sense, but usually what's happening in immersion programs for, let's say, university students is they've studied the language extensively already. They have a good footing to kind of learn more and more once they immerse. And when they're studying abroad, they usually have some bit of a crutch, some bit of a training wheel with their own language. So it's not just total, cold turkey, I'm quitting my other language and speaking only in this new language. Official English impairs retention of first language. So there's been evidence of this with young kids who are, let's say, in a school that's just an official English or English-only policy, and they just aren't using their previous language as much as they should or could, and therefore they lose their native language. They forget how to speak it. And that's just generally a bad thing, I think, in a society that prizes intellectual breadth. And definitely in an internationally, prominent country like the United States, it's important to have that diversity of language. English-only policies increase non-native dropout rates. So what we're seeing in places like Boston is students are dropping out because they just don't have the support system of their own language. So they're saying, I'm failing my class because I can't speak this language. What am I going to do? I probably should just drop out, and so they do. So the U.S. language policy is working just fine. Why create official language? Yeah, there's not a just big problem here. English is not under threat. Really, English-only policies are kind of a symbolic thing, which also lends itself back to, is this about discrimination more than anything? If it's just symbolic, are we just trying to rub it in the face of people that can't speak English and say, this is America, we speak English here? I mean, is that what we're trying to do? If it's just symbolic, I think it's ridiculous. Language policy should be state by state, not national. I think this is generally true, and 30 states, it's important to note, in the United States have adopted English-only policies. 20 have not. So, maybe that's a bad thing, and I would argue that that is a bad thing that the states have adopted those policies. But we might still argue that a federal level official English policy is a bad idea because we should just leave it to the states to assess on the ground what their needs are. And they're different in each state as far as how big of a problem it might be that there are a lot of people not speaking English or whatever. English-only laws can be a public safety health hazard. Yeah, so if there's an emergency that's going on and someone needs to know where to go in an earthquake or a tsunami, and they don't speak English, it's a huge problem if the government is only providing those warning systems in English. And official English undermines economics of linguistic diversity. It is a good thing that we have a diversity of languages spoken. This is a global economy. It's a good thing that people can go out and communicate with Latin American countries, communicate with Germany and French-speaking countries and all these other different countries. It helps our economy abroad. And by the same token, it limits our diplomatic capacity. Now, many countries have official language policies. About 85% of the world's countries have them. But no official language makes U.S. unique internationally, is an argument. So not having an official language might just be a unique thing. Of course, America has always been a little bit unique. We've always celebrated diversity. Why would we need an official language if that is our uniqueness? I'm going to stop now, but I hope you've enjoyed this video. My name is Brooks Lindsay, founder of Debatepedia.org. This article you can find by the title on Debatepedia, Debate: English as U.S. Official Language. Take care.